The Green Bay Packers find themselves in a season that feels like it is standing at the edge of something much larger than the scoreboard or the standings, a season that is beginning to feel like a story of restoration, redemption, and the quiet return of belief as the team prepares for Purport Sunday's highly anticipated showdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers. All eyes turn toward one man. Devonte Wyatt, the defensive tackle, whose presence has been missing since Week 4, but whose absence has been felt in every heartbeat of this defense. When head coach Matt LaFleur stepped in front of reporters on Wednesday, his tone carried more than just cautious optimism, it carried the weight of anticipation. He confirmed that Wyatt would return to practice this week and that the coaching staff would carefully monitor his progress before deciding if he would be cleared for the game against Pittsburgh. His words were simple but loaded with meaning. "We will just see how he progresses throughout the week." He said he has just got to prove it. Those words echoed across the locker room and into the hearts of fans, because everyone in Green Bay understands exactly what that means. Wyatt's return could be the difference between a defense that survives and one that dominates. Wyatt's knee injury came in the middle of that tense emotional tie against the Dallas Cowboys, a game that felt almost cursed from the moment it began. He had been a force up front, collapsing the pocket, driving through double teams until the moment he fell awkwardly to the turf. What looked like a minor setback at first turned into a lingering silence, a week-to-week label that became a frustrating mystery. The team never revealed exactly what the injury was, only that Wyatt needed time to heal and patience to recover, but the truth is that his absence did more than affect the depth chart. It changed the entire energy of the Packers' defense. Since that moment, the Packers have managed to win games against the Bengals and the Cardinals, but every player and every coach knows those victories came at a cost. The defense has not felt whole. Without Wyatt, the unit has lacked that invisible rhythm that turns good defenses into great ones. The Packers allowed 44 points in their first 3 games, plus the portion of the Cowboys game that Wyatt played, but since he went down, the defense has quietly started to bend in dangerous ways, giving up 41 points in the past 2 weeks alone. The numbers show it clearly. The defense's success rate dropped from 59.1% to 55.3%, and opponents' expected points per play crept upward from 0.001 to 0.7. It is not a dramatic difference on paper, but anyone who has watched this team knows it changes everything. There is something about Wyatt's presence that cannot be measured in statistics. When he is on the field, the defensive line feels alive. There is an urgency in the way they move, a confidence in the way they close gaps. His explosiveness off the snap forces quarterbacks to make quicker decisions and running backs to change direction too soon. He is a disruptor, not just in the physical sense, but in the emotional one. He brings chaos to the opposing offense and clarity to his own teammates. Without him, that balance disappears, and the defense loses its heartbeat. This season was supposed to be different for Wyatt. A first-round pick in 2022, he entered the league with high expectations, but spent his early years buried in a rotation behind veterans Kenny Clark and TJ Slaton. He was effective in limited snaps, but never quite broke through. His pass-rushing flashes were undeniable, yet his run defense inconsistencies kept him from earning a full-time role. But this year, the script changed. Both Clark and Slaton moved on, and Wyatt stepped into a role that demanded leadership and maturity. He responded not just with effort, but with production. In less than 3 full games, he recorded 13 quarterback pressures, a staggering pace that would have projected to 73 across a full 17-game season, a number that would shatter his previous career high of 45 in 2023 for a player once seen as a rotational piece. That kind of progress represents something much deeper. It shows growth, understanding, control. It shows that Wyatt has started to bridge the gap between potential and dominance. The Packers front office seemed to know this before anyone else did when they picked up his $12.9 million fifth-year option for 2026, a bold statement that this organization sees Wyatt not as a temporary solution, but as a foundational piece of their defensive identity. As the week builds towards Sunday, the question is not just whether Wyatt will play, but what his return will mean emotionally for the team. The defense has talent, but it has lacked that edge, that spark of intimidation that forces offenses to hesitate. Wyatt brings that energy back. The Steelers are not just another opponent. They are a symbol of whether this team can rediscover the aggression and confidence that once defined them. A defense that has been learning to fight without its anchor may finally get its soul back. There is a certain poetry to this moment. A player returning from injury at the precise time his team needs him most, a defense struggling to hold its ground, suddenly finding hope in the shape of one man's comeback. The narrative feels cinematic, as if the season has been building quietly toward this point. Wyatt's name whispered in the halls of Lambeau Field, not just as a player but as a promise. And so, the anticipation builds. The question is no longer just about health or conditioning, it is about impact, about timing, about destiny. Because sometimes a single player can change everything, not just through skill, but through presence. If Wyatt takes the field this Sunday, it won't just be the return of a defensive tackle, it will be the return of a heartbeat, the sound of a defense remembering who it is. If you have followed the Packers through these weeks of uncertainty, you know how much this moment matters. If you believe in comebacks, if you believe that timing and spirit can alter the course of a season, then this story is yours too. Like the video if you can feel that shift beneath the surface, subscribe to stay with us as the next chapter unfolds, and share in the comments what you think will happen when Wyatt steps back onto that field. Will his return reignite Green Bay's defense, or is there still another challenge waiting just beyond the horizon? Your words could be the spark that keeps this conversation alive.